Alright guys, so it's about 90 today. It's supposed to get up to about 104. You guys know I fix a lot of small engine stuff and, you know, make videos about it on this channel. And this is a first for me. I've never worked on one of these before. But I picked this up from a coworker who wants me to get it going for him. Doesn't seem like it's going to be too difficult. It actually has really good compression, but like most two-stroke stuff, you leave it sitting for a while, which I believe is what has happened. It just doesn't want to run right. Now he was able to get it started full choke, and it would just keep dying out. So I have a hankering suspicion that the carburetor needs to be dealt with. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that off and clean it up. It's actually kind of a funny system, the way these things work. This isn't actually a brake lever, it's a clutch lever. And when you want to start the motor, you ride this thing like a normal bicycle, and then you release the clutch, and hopefully it starts. So it looks like it's a fairly simple process to pull this thing off. I'll go ahead and remove the air filter cover. So now I'm just going to go ahead and pull this off of the bike, but in order to do that, I've got to remove the throttle control. It's actually kind of interesting. It's not like a normal you know, weed whack or anything like that. It's actually got a cable type throttle that goes into the car and a standard 10mm wrench. Go ahead and loosen this up. Definitely a different setup. Just set that aside. Now we just have to pull off the throat. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I'm going to take off the fuel line. And now we'll continue to pull the carburetor off of the bike. Simple as that. So let's bring it to the workbench and see if we can figure out what's going on. And so now we'll go ahead and start tearing apart the carburetor. We'll go ahead and remove the bowl first. So we have two Phillips screws that are holding the bowl on. And the bowl's already starting to release, so that's a good sign. So we'll pull the bowl off. It's actually pretty clean in there. Pull the float out. Very interesting design. Gasket comes out nice and easy. So I'm going to go ahead and clean out the needle and see what we can find. The needle journal actually looks like it's pretty clean, but I'm going to run some wires through there and then through the pickup tube as well. So it looks like you can actually remove this bottom part on the pickup tube. So we'll go ahead and do that. Everything else looks good. And this thing is definitely plugged up. You guys more than likely won't be able to see that, but the hole is definitely plugged up. Look over the inside of the bowl. The inside of the bowl looks fine. I'm not going to mess with that. The carburetor looks good too. I'm going to shoot some carb spray through that little area right here, see what we can do with that. Now, one thing I've always used for years, never had any issues with it, is a small piece of 20 thousandths mechanics wire. And what you do is you just go ahead and feed that through the hole, like so. Give it a nice good cleaning. And I'm actually able to push air through it now. And I can also see through it just fine. So we're going to go ahead and spray some carb cleaner in this, clean it out real well. And this part, stick a wire in as well, just like that. It's not pulling out anything questionable, but we'll go ahead and clean that up with some carb spray as well. So I've got the pickup tube, just like so. And we'll backwash it too. Just to make sure we got everything out. So I'm happy with that. Set that aside, and we'll grab our carb, do the same thing. And I'm more than happy with that. The inside of the throat actually looks really clean. I'm suspecting that that was the only issue, is that pickup tube. Now our needle did have a little bit of grime and gunk on it, and I cleaned that off as well. So now I'm just going to go ahead and reinstall everything. So we'll just screw this back in, make sure it's nice and tight. Happy with that. So now our float bracket and needle holder, we'll throw that back on. And the float itself looks to be in really good shape, so we'll throw that on as well. Before I do that, go ahead and fish our pin back in. Very weird design. Never seen one like this before. Inside of the bowl, as I've shown already, looks good. So we'll go ahead and reinstall this. And it's mechanic proof, so it only goes on one way. Now before we reinstall that, the gasket looks really good. I'm happy with that. It was not showing any signs of leaking, so we'll go ahead and reuse it. I don't have another one on hand. Unfortunately with these carburetors, well, it's kind of fortunate as well, because a brand new one costs 11 bucks from Amazon. But you can't get carb kits for them, unfortunately, at least not that I've seen. Probably not cheap enough to make it worthwhile. And that was simple enough.